is a much more important decision than most of you realized. However, unfortunately, most people pick things like iPhones and Android phones willy-nilly that have virtually no security, no privacy, that literally monitor and scan all of your emails, all of your text messages, all of your communications, contacts, and they do it in the disguise of advertising and giving you a better user experience. GPS, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, IMSI catchers, monitoring, tracking, cataloging all of your data. It literally is a built-in tracking device. But today, we're going to teach you how to get away from all that on Privacy X. There's a lot you can do. There's several phones you can choose. Some of the phones on this list are amazing. Some of these phones on this list are literal trash, which is where they belong. We're going to break this down right now in operation. Linux phone, Ghost phone, burner phone. What phone should you choose? Now, before we get in, a couple honorable mentions. Android is one of the worst options possible, but we are going to give you a couple of caveats here on this list. Also, iPhones could be locked down. It could be decent business phones and business communication tools. The average iPhone is definitely a lot better than the average Android. However, iPhones have a lot of flaws. The Apple business model has really waned and gone down, and it takes a substantial amount of work. So while I do have every version of the iPhone, while I do use a lot of Apple products, I really lock them down, and my core fundamental products are typically Linux. We're going to break it down here today. Let's get right into this. Honorable mention before we get in the list is the Tesla phone. A lot of you have heard about the Tesla phone. It's not really out yet, but I'm going to be buying it and checking it out. People say it might be $800. People say it might be $4,000. I really don't care the price. I'm buying it as soon as it comes out. But I'm really curious to see what the Tesla phone does to displace. I don't think it's going to be the best privacy phone out there, but it could have some cool tools, could have some cool features. Talks about crypto mining, talks about a lot of baseline features that should be in the privacy camp. So I think they're going to give some of these phones a run for the money. So Tesla phone is our honorable mention of the video, but let's get into our 10 phones that we want to talk about. Number one, Bittium Tough Mobile 2. Now, this is a very popular option. It's from Finland. So some people like the fact that it's from Finland. Some people do not. Built-in encryption and key management software, physical kill switches. Now, having physical kill switches on a phone is the way phones should be. I did a video last year talking about modular phones, and I think all phones should be modular, and having kill switches and having these things built in is vital. However, this phone does have some flaws, does have some issues. It does have a high level of encryption, and I do like the key management, and I do like the way that it structures its not only encryption, but the accessibility of the hardware device itself, because phones are a combination of hardware, software, and probably the most vital combination of hardware and software you're ever going to use. But also a lot of that software and a lot of the internal components can be used against you. They do an okay job. It's not always the easiest phone to get. I would give it a solid B. I have tested it. I do not own it. I do want to say that, but I have done a bunch of testing on this phone. And I do not love it, but I do not hate it. I think it has room for growth. Now, I do want to say it's hard to compare a lot of these phones on flagship features like cameras and like smooth scrolling ability and OLED displays, et cetera, because Apple and Android bring in billions and billions and, let's be honest, trillions of dollars. And so it's kind of unfair for some of these smaller flagship companies to do that. So you're going to get good hardware experience, good software experience, but it's not going to be as great. So don't expect it to be like a flagship Google or Android. Don't expect it to be like a flagship iPhone, but some of these have gotten pretty good. So keep that in mind. So I'm going to give this a solid B. Next one is CERN Labs U1, the Finney U1. It actually has apps that run on a peer-to-peer network, which is important. Blockchain. Now, this is a very crypto-based phone. This is a crypto phone, and it has no single authority and has DApps for privacy. So DApps, as some of you may know, is the new DApp stores, which stands for decentralized apps. A lot of them are also getting into DeFi and different networks through the blockchain, which is pretty cool. The problem with this phone is it's very lackluster. It lacks a lot of capabilities. It lacks a lot of things that it should do. It doesn't connect properly. The phone itself is an F. I'm going to tell you right now, unfortunately, I have to give this phone an F, but it has promise for the future. It was supposed to be a flagship crypto phone. I think basically the Tesla phone is going to put this phone to bed forever. I think what the Tesla phone is going to do is going to stomp out a lot of these crypto phones, and it's going to make a flagship crypto phone. Now, if we can get a privacy Linux-based crypto phone like what Tesla's trying to build, it'd be the ultimate phone. But imagine consumers actually getting what they want and deserve. We wouldn't even know what that looks like if we saw it. But this phone, unfortunately, is an actual F. Now, the Blackphone PRIV, oh, buddy, from Silent. So here's the thing. Secure out of the box, absolutely secure out of the box. It is one of the most secure phones. In fact, there's been tests saying the FBI and NSA can't even track it. I don't know if I'd go that far because you have to understand how cell towers, how satellite networks, which also the Tesla phone is supposed to be the first satellite-based phone that's a standard phone. Obviously, we have satellite phones. I have a satellite phone, but this is supposed to be a satellite-only phone, which is pretty cool, or you'll have satellite mode. But the Blackphone is supposed to be able to be 100% off-grid, modified Android, which I don't like, but the way they modified it, similar to Graphene OS and other options, is actually really good. So you'll take the skin of Android, and there's a lot you can do to it. And then it has, full 256-bit encryption, which should be the bare minimum standard. And then no data logging, and it is a completely anonymous device. So everything you do on it's encrypted regardless. Otherwise, it's encrypted or you don't do it. They've had a lot of problems at this company. This phone is harder and harder to get. I'm going to give it a B for effort. It is not perfect. It is overpriced for what it is. And you haven't seen as much come out of this company lately, and they've had big gaps in production because they promise a big game. It's harder to use than it should be, and it's just too expensive for most people for what it is. And so a lot of people have kind of pivoted away from it. It was supposed to be like the gold standard in privacy phones back in like 2016, but 2015 even. And it made a lot of ground, made a lot of headway, but I'm just not super impressed. I had one for a while. I actually ended up selling it, which is something I almost never do, is sell tech gadgets, but I just found myself not using it. It's just not it's not a great experience. So from what I've seen so far on all of the versions, and I've tried multiple iterations, they had the beta come out I'm going way old school now, but everything I've seen, I'm going to give them a B. Again, it is solid option, solid effort. I think it's overpriced. I have to give them a B to be fair because of all they put into this phone is, again, what things should be standard. But as far as usability for the average consumer, the average person, there's no way this is an A. In fact, I'm like teetering on it's like a B minus. It's close to a C, but we'll give it a B. It's definitely not an A, and it's nowhere near an S tier. So that's where we're going to go with this. And I like it. I hope this has a future. I honestly kind of feel like it doesn't. I don't think it succeeded the way they were hoping. So we'll see. Blackberry Classic. Now, it has to be 4G. They've already done away with 2G a while ago, as most of you know. They recently just put the final nail in the coffin of 3G. 4G will be out for about another decade. There's a big confusion on 4G. 5G is coming in strong. Now, 2G was around for about 30 years. 3G was about 20 years, from like 2000 to 2020. Basically 2021 was the last for AT&T, but basically 20 years, 21 years, and going into 4G from 2000, I believe 2008, and it's probably going to go roughly to about 2030 with some carriers, so you still are secure with 4G. I recommend the Blackberry Classic. Now, on my burner phone videos, I've showed 2 or 3 of my Blackberries, Blackberry Passport, couple classic Blackberries, couple Blackberries that I really, really recommend, and a couple I don't. So if you haven't seen my burner phone videos, I recommend you watch them. I have 3 or 4, and they're really in depth. So I really go deep into what you should do with the burner phone, how to age them, all those things. Blackberry Classic is still one of my favorite. Now, I run them basically as a Wi-Fi device at this point. You can still run them as a cellular device, and a lot of people do, but keep in mind it has to be the 4G option. They still have classic 4G. I am not talking about when BlackBerry switched over to the Bold and some of these others on the Android network. Those are a 0. I do not recommend those Blackberries. Those are literally hunks of junk. You might as well just get a flagship Android, get like a Samsung Galaxy or something, because it's basically a government issue tracking device. It is your tracker. So not those, but the actual classic Blackberries. These are an absolute A. The only reason they're an A and not an S, to be honest, if you would have asked me 3 years ago, it would have been an S. But because the way the Blackberry went, they're basically a shell of a company, just like licensing their product and licensing their logo and likeness and name, which is very sad to see from a staple company like Blackberry. A decade ago, Blackberry was a fan favorite to every privacy advocate. Every celebrity had a Blackberry. Blackberry had some of the best privacy and security out of the box, period. And so it's really sad to see what's happened to this company. But I still do personally use a Blackberry in my phone system. I've got one in my safe right now. I've got one in my rotation. I use them often. They're a great device, so I'm going to give Blackberry a Blackberry Classic. You can still pick them up for a reasonable price, couple $100, and they're worth it. They're going to last the better part of a decade as long as you get 4G. There are a lot of 3G devices floating out there. Unfortunately, those are basically worthless. I would not recommend them. Get yourself a 4G device, and you're going to have an A product. Ghost burner phone. What does Cody mean by ghost burner phone? You've seen me do videos on this. This is my Nokia. It has the camera modification, meaning I've blacked out, ghosted my camera, no front camera, QWERTY keyboard. This is a phenomenal phone, but there's a lot of phones like it. Again, you're going to have to watch my burner phone video, see my breakdown. I've broke down like 10 incredible burner phones you can utilize right now. I usually keep 10 to 20 burner phones in the box that I age at all times, so I can pull them out when I have to do off-grid things for clients and go off-grid for different reasons. But S, absolute S. Because here's the thing, nobody knows. I registered this phone in Jesus' name. I registered this phone in Wyatt Earp's name. I've registered this phone in Howard Hughes' name. I've registered this phone in Ryan Reynolds' name. Because look, I use Mint Mobile, and I've showed exactly how I do it. So I bet you Ryan Reynolds has about 700,000 phones in his name, just for people being funny. You can register this completely anonymous, 100% off grid. And there's a lot of phones. You don't have to just use this. A lot of phones, but most of you can't afford to throw away iPhones and other, high dollar phones. You can get this for like $50, $70. I throw these away every 3 months, get a new one every 3 months. So this is one of my main business phones. This is one of my main client phones. I've got 4 phones in my phone system, but this phone I have all the time. But I change the number every 3 months for this core one, and I change the SIM monthly, and I change the number every 3 months. There's a lot you can do. Again, I go into my burner phone video, but this is absolute S tier. This is a staple. Now, I wish there was phones with this built-in technology. There's a couple on this list we'll talk about, but they just haven't got there yet. No camera on this. There is a camera, but I blacked it out with a piece of gaff tape, and I showed how I do that. The battery comes out, which is vital. Doesn't have the same kill switches, which is a downfall. But again, this is a base model phone. Works great. Has some core apps you can use, but I don't recommend you logging anything on a burner phone because that's just stupid. Log in on a secure Tor network or on a secure Linux network on your computer. I showed you guys how to use VirtualBox and how to use other security tools on this channel. I've done multiple tutorials. You can check that out. Also, if you haven't already, go to Privacy X. We can teach you how to become a complete ghost right now. We have a few slots available, so go to privacyxproject.com and you can become an actual ghost, and we go 10 times more in depth on how to structure yourself as an anonymous citizen so you have to deal with all the laws and BS that is happening in the world. But check out a ghost phone, burner phone, like I talked about. The next one is the Pine phone. Oh my gosh. So you guys know that I did a review on the Pine phone. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. The Pine phone really pissed me off. I had a Pine phone. It was trash. They sent me a new one. It was trash. The customer service was trash. I put up my video. Pine phone threw a crying fit. They contacted me like four times, send me a new phone. Then they're like, well, we have the Pine phone Pro, which they're going to be sending me. They want me to do an updated review on that. Listen, the good about the Pine phone, the structure of the Pine phone is good. It's got the kill switches. It's got the core features. But you'll see in my review, and when I did that review, I had over 150 people reach out. In fact, it's probably more now. But within the first week of doing that review, I had over 150 people reach out and said they had similar experience. The Pine phone was trash. Now, they got the Pine phone Pro. It's supposed to be a little better. We'll see. I'm not impressed. They're sending me one, and I'll do a separate review on that. If it's trash, I'm just going to scrap the review. I don't need to do another bad review on Pine phone. We'll see what happens with the Pine phone, with the newest Pine phone Pro, because they did an update to it just recently. So I'm going to get that one. Check it out. Right now, I'm going to give the Pine phone a D, just because the core features are there, the kill switches are there, the structure's there. It's a cheaply made phone, but again, for a solid price. So you got to compare apples to apples. It's not going to be like a full aluminum machined or titanium. Like, it's not going to be one of these crazy phones. It's going to be plastic. It's going to be cheaper components, but it's going to have quality components. You can use Linux on it, which is key. I'm going to give it a D for now, and I'll update the review if it's any better. I have a sneaking suspicion, unfortunately, it's not. I've actually been talking to a few people. I might partner with a phone company to build a legit Linux phone because there's very few options, and most of them are trash. And it's very sad to see. This is my list. One of my best, I'm going to give you a spoiler. One of the best options on this list is a burner phone because most of these phones are trash. I think PinePhone's heart is in the right place. I've talked to a few people about the PinePhone, but the fact is what I've seen so far implemented is a D. It's just not there. It's just simply not there. They could have done a lot better. And so far, what I've seen on all the iterations. So I'm going to give PinePhone a D. I'm going to move on. If it gets any better, I will absolutely let you guys know because I was a huge fan of the PinePhone. I wanted the PinePhone to work so bad. I was championing the PinePhone. And now after using that sack of trash, I'm going to potentially invest in another phone company. If I do, I'll let you guys know. But I'm not going to do it unless it's a phone that I would want to buy. I'm not just going to private label a phone because that's stupid. There's a bunch of junk out there. I'm not just going to put a Me Too phone. Either way, it's going to be a premium phone or I'm not going to do it because there's no point. The last thing the market needs is another Pine phone. So the Volla phone, Indiegogo project, pre-built VPN, Ubuntu Touch. Now, this is probably one of the only ones on this list that I have not personally had in my hands. It was an Indiegogo project, like I said. It was funded well. A lot of people rave about this. I know 2 people who have used it who have given me good reviews so far. I like some of the features, although in my opinion, it's kind of like pinky toe privacy. What I'm getting sick and tired of in the privacy community, and you see this a lot in crypto, it's running rampant like a disease in crypto, is everyone uses privacy as a buzzword. Listen, either you are a privacy phone or you are a privacy hardware wallet, you are a privacy coin, or you're not. You can't be half in and half out when it comes to privacy. It's not one of those things where you can you can't be the Swiss Army knife of privacy, but you have privacy features that no. Otherwise, you're privacy centric and privacy focused, or you're not. And that's okay if you're not, but be honest. And so this phone particular, I'm going to give a B. I'm not over the moon about. I do want to see more, and I might update it. I might do a standalone review if it's better than I think. But unfortunately, based on everything I've seen, it's a good phone. It's not a great phone, and it really doesn't solve a lot of problems, and that's the problem. You can use Ubuntu Touch, which is cool, but again, that's just pinky toe level. The encryption not there, the dual keys not there, the integration for encryption not there. So there's a lot of things I'm not seeing there. And again, if I'm wrong and this phone blows my mind, I will do a standalone review and I will amend this B. But right now I'm going to give it a B because I think the heart's in the right place. I think it's a lot more quality than some of the other things on this list. But I think it's like an entry level. I don't think it really adds a lot of added value. In fact, I feel like you can get the same privacy with that as you can get on an iPhone with a couple of apps. So it's just not really there. Pro 1X. Now, it supports Ubuntu Touch and Lineage OS and Android. But again, a lot of these, going graphene, has QWERTY keypad, Snapdragon 662. So it's going back to the Snapdragon processor. So basically, it's reminiscent of, so it's got like an actual keyboard, right? So like this, but a full keyboard. So this is just the regular touchpad, and you have to push a button 3 times if you're texting, or however many times for the letter, right? This is OG when I was a teenager. This is going to have a full QWERTY keyboard, kind of like a Blackberry, but actually it's laid out horizontally instead of vertically. So definitely some value there. It looks like a really cool phone. From everything I'm seeing on this and from what I've seen on this so far, I am going to give this a B as well. I think it could use some improvements. I think it could be more privacy focused. I think people are starting to throw some of the stuff in the privacy community because if you say the word Linux, people think ghost mode. That's just not true. Linux is good, but it has its falters as well. And the problem is, again, you're talking trillion-dollar companies versus open source hobbyist style software that are trying to be what the internet should have been, what internet 1.2.0 should have been. And now, of course, internet 3.0 with blockchain technology. And it's not going the right way again with the metaverse and some of the things we're seeing in the open source, centralized crypto space. And we're seeing this with these privacy phones as well. So you want to stay away from things that are closed source, Android based, tracking based, chipsets and software, and this is becoming a problem. Also, if you don't have the ability to work on the work on the product itself. One thing I did respect about the Pine phone is I could actually crack it open. You could take the battery out, and there's things you could do with the Pine phone that you can't do with a lot of others. So this one I'm going to go ahead and give a B, and we're just going to move on. Next one is a Google Pixel, but now the Google Pixel by itself, F, but Google Pixel with Graphene OS. I've done 3 videos on Graphene OS, how to do it, how to switch it over. I've done tutorials, so I'm not going to do a tutorial here, obviously, in this list video. But Graphene OS is a legit option, and I'm going to give Graphene OS an S tier. Sorry, I'm going to give it an S tier. The reason I'm going to give it an S tier is because it's so tried and true, and it works so well. So getting a phone that is compatible with Graphene OS, and there's a list on the Graphene website that you can actually make compatible with your hardware device, is a good option because it is so user-friendly and it works so well. Some of the things I have with, for example, the Blackphone is just things don't, or, even what was the one? So, the Finney, the problem I have with some of these is they don't sync up properly. The OS doesn't work properly. The app set doesn't work properly. It touts a bunch of features, but it's clunky and it doesn't integrate. The good thing about Graphene OS is it's polished, right? It works really well. So for a lot of people who are entry level into privacy, that is about as good of an option as you're going to get right out the box. And it's going to feel very familiar. So it's a great option, and we're going to go with that. Next one, last one, the one that a lot of you have been waiting for, the Librem 5. Now it is open source, pure OS, and it's a complete F. No, I'm kidding. I'm absolutely kidding. No, I'm going to give this one an S. It has been around for a long time. It is actually really good. I'm going to be doing an in-hands review on this very soon. You're going to see it. I'm going to give it an S because it's about the best you're going to get for something like this. Open source, pure OS, the way it's structured, the way it's encrypted, the way it's utilized. We have to be real. I mean, everyone wants a full privacy phone, but it's the quality of an iPhone, right? It's got that machined body. It's got that smooth OS. It's got that seamless transition. I mean, everyone wants that incredible phone, but you want it to be privacy-based. You want it to be modular or hardware switches. And unfortunately, I don't think that's ever going to happen in the near future because it doesn't benefit these manufacturers. These manufacturers make a lot of money on selling you. You are their product. You are their property. You are their data. And unless you go ghost, like I teach my clients, you're going to be screwed here in a few years when Web3 comes out and you're stuck in this system because there's no getting out. Once Web3 comes out, if you're not out of the system in the next few years, you're done. It's over for you. You are going to be property of the system, unfortunately, and that's where a lot of people are headed, and it's very unfortunate. That's why I teach my kids to protect their identity. That's why I don't allow them to put any of their identity on any of these things. My kids all already have aliases. They've never had their real names on the internet. They don't get mail. They're never going to be in the quote-unquote system, and if you're already in the system, that's okay. You could take yourself out. But you're running out of time. Once everything's connected on the blockchain and once everything's built in, that's why going private, going ghost, doing these things now is vital. I don't care if you're 23 or you're 73. It is vital that you start taking action today or you will regret it when the social credit scores and these other things come out. I think the Librem 5 does a great job and it's a great option. I think they've put a tremendous amount into this, and I think where it's going, this would be the one phone that would stop me from partnering with the phone company to put out a phone because I think these guys might actually have this problem together. There's still some things they need to do, and it's not a perfect solution, but let's be honest, nothing is a perfect solution in the beginning. They've been working on this for a while. They're making some strong headway, some strong leeway, and this is what you need. Yes, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's a much, much better experience. I would rather buy one. I would rather buy one of these than, half a dozen Pine phones, and maybe one will work or probably none will work, like I had my experience. So, something like this is just substantially better. That's my experience with this. Let me know down below if there's a phone you think I should put on this. For most of you, Graphene OS is the best option. A burner phone like this that you're swapping out is a good option. A Blackberry Classic's a good option. The Librem 5 is a good option. And then a couple others we'll see. There's a couple I put in the B category that we'll see. We'll see how they shake out. And unfortunately, there's a couple on here that are going down. We all are waiting for that Tesla phone. I will be buying it and doing a hands-on review right away when it comes out, regardless of the price. If it's really expensive, most of you probably won't go out and get it, but I'll get it and I'll show you guys what it's all about. And then we'll figure it out from there if it's worth it. I think Elon's going to try to put a quality product out that's going to become kind of expensive. And then if there's a big interest, he'll get the price down, similar to what he did with his Tesla cars, right? It'll be the Roadster, then it'll be the Model 3 and X and on, right? He'll do that same Elon Musk model, and we'll see how that goes. But I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see what the Tesla phone has to offer. it's got to be better than, you know, being stuck in the iPhone, Android ecosystem for the last 15 years, like most people have. We've seen a lot of players come and go in the phone space, but it's such a competitive space and it's so dominated by those two players that it's become really, really tough. But a phone is vital for the average person, so having a good, secure option. For a lot of you, having your flagship phone and then having one of these on the side is also a good option. That way you don't always have your flagship tracking you and you take it to work and to, you know, the office, or you take it to, but also you can put it in a blackout bag, RFID bag, EMP proof bag, and then set it aside and then utilize this for other things as well. That way you're not tracked at all times. And also you can separate the things you do, separate communications and things like that. But again, I've broke all that down in my burner phone video, so I won't rehash what I've already talked about. I have what I call an advanced burner phone video coming out, so make sure you subscribe, give a thumbs up. That will be the best video I've ever done on this channel. It's going to be one of the most important videos. I'm going to break down my phone and my computer system. So I have multiple computers and phone system that I utilize, and I'm going to do a full breakdown of how I use these. It's kind of be like in vlog style. You're going to see me in Vegas. You're going to see me in Texas. You're going to see me at my house, my office. You're going to see all these different things. And we're going to break this down because I'm going to be filming like kind of a mini doc style of how I utilize my privacy gadgets. It'll be like a fun, you know, 20 to 30 minute video, but it'll be filmed kind of documentary style so you guys can see how I implement these. Because I talk about these devices and I show them in pieces, but I want you guys to actually be able to see how I implement things in my life so you can pull what works for you. And yes, most of you are not going to take it as extreme as I take it. I get that. And so what I'm saying is you can watch that video if you so choose, and then you can pull the pieces out. That's going to be coming. I'm still filming it. Like I said, it's more of like a mini doc, so it's not something I can film in an afternoon. It's going to be a couple months worth of work, but I'm going to put it together. It's going to be a nice piece. I'm going to be doing a few of those this year. I'm also going to be doing how I stay at hotels, so how I get hotels anonymously, how I stay in them. I'm going to be showing you my whole system, how my security system in hotels, all the stuff. So I'm going to be doing, my goal is to do like 4 or 5 of these mini docs this year on Privacy X, which I think you guys are going to love because it's really going to go in depth on some of these things. And it's going to show my OCD and my craziness, but it's also going to show how I stay off the grid in the big cities like Austin and Dallas and Vegas and, you know, wherever else I happen to find myself, Salt Lake or Denver. Well, Denver's kind of going downhill, but we'll go from there, buddy. So appreciate you guys checking this out. Go all in everything you do. If you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, because we got some cool content coming for you guys. Check out Privacy X Project if you haven't already, because you got to go ghost if you want the most out of life. I'll see you guys in the next video.